A sight for a sight. The price was absolute. But what truth could possibly be worth this? Gather round the fire, for this is not a tale of heroes, and none were hungrier than the Allfather himself. A god who had everything, but was haunted by the one thing he could not see, the end. His quest for truth would not lead him to a throne, but to the cold, dark roots of the world, and to a choice that would forever scar the face of divinity.
From my throne, lied Skjalf, I saw empires rise from the dust and crumble back into it. I watched the dance of mortals, their fleeting lives a blink in my unending gaze, their passions a flicker of candlelight in the grand hall of eternity. I held Gungnir, my spear, forged from a branch of the world tree itself, a weapon that never missed its mark. My sons were thunder and light, Thor with his righteous fury, Balder with his impossible grace. I had a kingdom forged in the very heart of the cosmos, its golden halls echoing with the boasts of the Einjar Har, the chosen slain who would fight at my side at the end of all things. I was a king, a father, a god of war and wisdom. And I was utterly, completely hollow. In the quiet moments, when the sounds of the feast in Valhalla faded, when the laughter of the gods grew distant, a splinter of ice remained in my mind, a shard of a frozen future that would not melt no matter the warmth of my hearth. It was a vision, a fragment, a curse. The Allfather was the master of knowledge. He had given much for it already. He had sent his two ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, to soar across the 9 realms each dawn. They would return at dusk, perch upon his shoulders, and whisper into his ears every secret they had seen, every word spoken in shadow, every plot hatched in darkness. He knew the hearts of men and the ambitions of giants. But the knowledge they brought was of the now. It was a tapestry woven from the threads of the present, and the splinter in Odin's mind was a thread from a tapestry not yet woven. The vision would come unbidden. Sometimes, in the middle of a council meeting, the faces of my kin would blur, and I would see a wolf's jaw, impossibly wide, eclipsing the sun, plunging the 9 realms into a terrifying darkness. I would feel a tremor and see a serpent of colossal scale rising from a black, poisoned sea, its venom steaming and turning the very air to acid. I would be walking through the gardens of Asgard, and the sight of my son Balder, so beautiful and beloved, would be replaced by an image of his pale, lifeless body on a funeral pyre, a single tear shed by his blind brother marking his cheek. Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods. It was not a story told by bards to frighten children. It was not a distant prophecy spoken by a mad Volva. It was a promise etched into the fabric of time, and it haunted my every breath, turning the sweetest mead to ash in my mouth. My ravens brought me thoughts and memories, but they could not bring me certainty. They could not bring me a plan.
And so, the Allfather, the god of wisdom, grew obsessed. His desire for knowledge became a ravenous hunger that no secret could satisfy. He consulted the Norns, the three sisters of fate who sat at the base of Yggdrasil, weaving the destinies of all beings. But they only showed him the threads, not the pattern. They spoke in riddles, their words like smoke. They confirmed his fear, but offered no solace, no strategy. They showed him the inevitability of the tapestry, but refused to reveal its final, terrible design. This infuriated him. A king cannot rule if he is a slave to a fate he cannot comprehend. His gaze, therefore, turned downward. Down past the realm of mortals, past the realm of dwarves, down to the very roots of the world tree that held the cosmos together. For in the oldest legends, in whispers older than Asgard itself, it was said that there, nestled in the primordial dark, lay a power older than the gods, Mimir's well. A well whose waters held the memory of all things past, the understanding of all things present, and the shape of all things to come.
Mimir, a name spoken only in shadows, a name that made even the gods uneasy, a cosmic entity, a giant of impossible age who guarded this ultimate truth. He had been there when the worlds were formed from the corpse of Ymir. He had seen everything. His knowledge was not a collection of secrets, but a deep, fundamental understanding of the flow of reality. The Norns could weave fate, but Mimir's well held the knowledge of why the threads were what they were. And for that knowledge, for that one clear-eyed glimpse into the abyss of my future, I knew I would trade anything. My obsession had burned away all other reason. I could no longer sit on my throne pretending to be a king when I was nothing but a leaf in a storm I could not see. I went to my chambers. I shed my armor, piece by heavy golden piece. The weight leaving my shoulders felt like a relief. I laid down Gungnir, my spear that never missed, its wooden shaft humming with power. It felt like severing a limb. I took off my horned helm, the symbol of my rule. I left my throne, my crown, my very title as King of Asgard. I would not approach this ancient power as a king demanding tribute. I would come as a desperate, anonymous wanderer, begging for a single drink. My wife, Frigg, saw the look in my eyes. She, who could see glimpses of the future herself, knew this journey was one from which I would not return whole. She did not try to stop me. She only wept. He walked not as a god, but as a ghost. Vegtam the Wanderer, he called himself, a name as gray and anonymous as the road he traveled. He crossed the Bifrost, the shimmering rainbow bridge, not with the stride of a king, but with the hunched shoulders of a beggar. Heimdall, the ever-watchful guardian, saw him, of course. His eyes could see a single blade of grass grow. He saw his king's disguise, saw the desperation in his gait, but he did not sound the alarm. He simply watched, a silent, sorrowful witness to the beginning of the end. Odin's journey was a descent, both literal and spiritual. He journeyed through the frozen wastes of Jotunheimer, the realm of the frost giants. Here, the very air was a blade, and mountains of blue ice gnawed at the sky. He who had once commanded storms now huddled for warmth behind frozen rocks, the wind whipping his gray cloak around him, mocking his powerlessness.
The cold bit deep, a physical agony I had not known for centuries. It was a clean pain, a simple pain, and, in a way, a relief from the complex torment of my mind. Hunger gnawed at me, a novel sensation. For weeks, I ate only what I could find: frozen berries, the tough roots of withered plants. I drank from meltwater streams so cold they felt like swallowing needles. It was humbling. It was clarifying. Each step, each shiver, each pang of hunger stripped away another layer of my pride, another vestige of my divinity. I was no longer the Allfather. I was just a man, an old man, walking toward his doom. I navigated forests in Svartalfheim where the trees had no leaves, their branches like skeletal fingers clawing at a sunless sky. The dwarves, masters of the forge, watched me from their cavern entrances, their eyes like chips of obsidian, recognizing the desperation of a being brought low. They did not help. They did not hinder. They simply watched. It was all part of the price. To seek the ultimate truth, I had to become nothing. And finally, after an age of walking that felt longer than the age of the stars, I felt it. A change. The wind died. The air grew still, heavy with the weight of ages and the scent of wet earth and deep, ancient stone. I had descended so far that I was now beneath the realms of gods and men. I had reached the root of all things.
The Well of Mimir was not a grand sight, not a monument to be marveled at. It was a simple, dark pool of perfectly still water, nestled between three of the great roots of Yggdrasil. The water was black as void, yet it held the light of every star in the cosmos within its depths. It did not reflect the cavern around it. It reflected everything. To look into it was to look into the eye of eternity itself. And beside it, unmoving, sat Mimir. He was not a monster of legend, not a roaring titan. He was old, so impossibly old that he seemed carved from the root of the tree itself, his skin like petrified bark, moss growing in the creases of his ancient brow. His eyes, when they opened, held no malice, no anger, only an infinite, weary knowledge. He did not seem surprised. He seemed expectant. He knew why Odin had come before a single word was spoken.
I stood before him, a king in rags, a god shivering in the dark. All my power, all my authority was meaningless here. This being was a part of the fundamental fabric of existence. I was a fleeting king. He was a constant. I am Vegtam, I said, my voice raw and unused. A wanderer. I seek a drink from your well, old one. Mimir smiled, a slow, grinding crack of ancient stone. His voice was not a sound, but a vibration that resonated in my very bones. All seek it, the giant rumbled. The desperate, the proud, the foolish,
They come here believing knowledge is a sword that will help them win their wars. They do not understand. Knowledge is not a sword. It is a mountain, one you must carry on your back for all eternity. He looked at me then, truly looked, and his gaze pierced through my disguise, through my flesh, through my very soul. The well demands a price. A truth is a weight. It must be balanced. What will you offer, Allfather, that is worthy of the knowledge of the end of all things?
Odin, stripped of his title but not his pride, made his offers. He reached into his traveler's pouch and offered a cache of gold so pure it shone with its own light, enough to build a new city of gods. Mimir simply shook his head, the motion of a mountain shifting. Odin offered him command of a legion of Valkyries, the mightiest warriors in the cosmos. The giant did not even blink. He offered him 1,000 years of his own memories, the victories, the loves, the secrets whispered on his throne. Mimir remained silent, his gaze unwavering, his patience as deep as the well beside him.
He refused everything. My power, my wealth, my history. They were trinkets to him. Baubles of a temporary king. Frustration and despair warred within me. I had come so far, given up so much, only to fail at the final step. I fell to my knees, defeated, and my gaze fell upon my own reflection in the dark water of the well. I saw a king, cloaked in rags, a god, desperate as a mortal. And in that reflection, in the face of my own brokenness, I finally understood. The well did not want something I had. It did not want my possessions or my power. It wanted something I was, a fundamental part of my being. It wanted a sacrifice that would permanently alter me, that would mark me forever as one who had dared to seek this knowledge. I looked up at the ancient giant, my heart a cold stone in my chest. He had known all along. He was simply waiting for me to understand. His voice echoed in my mind, a whisper that was also a judgment. A price must be paid. A sight for a sight.
A sight for a sight. The words hung in the still, cold air. They were not a negotiation. They were a law of nature, as immutable as gravity or time. The paranoia, the fear, the gnawing obsession that had driven me from my golden throne to these dark roots, it had all boiled down to this one terrible, necessary moment. There was no hesitation, not anymore. To turn back now would be to admit that my entire existence as a seeker of wisdom had been a lie. I looked at the ancient giant, at the silent, star-lit water, and I nodded. A single, sharp gesture. My hand, the hand that had once held Gungnir and shaped the destinies of men, trembled as I raised it to my own face. It felt heavier than Thor's hammer. And for a single, horrifying second that stretches into an eternity, you understand the true meaning of sacrifice. You feel the cold dread of the inevitable, the choice
that has no choice at all. Your own fingers, rough and calloused, touch the skin around your eye. You feel the warmth of your own life there, the intricate web of nerves that connect your sight to your soul, the window through which you perceive the world. And with a surge of will that could shatter mountains, a desperate, final lunge for truth, you pull. It is a scream that has no sound, a flash of white-hot agony that is not of the flesh, but of the self being torn apart. It is the feeling of a fundamental part of your being, your perception, your identity, being ripped away forever. There was no blood, only a cold emptiness where warmth had been. I opened my hand, and there it lay. Not a gruesome thing of flesh, but a perfect sphere of captured starlight, swirling with the memories of every sunrise I had ever witnessed. My eye. I looked at it for a moment, this piece of myself, and then I let it fall into the water. It did not make a splash. It did not sink. It simply vanished, merging with the cosmos held within the well. Mimir, his ancient face betraying a flicker of something akin to pity, dipped his great horn, Jallarhorn, into the well and offered it to me. My remaining hand, still shaking, took it. The horn was cold as the void. The water was colder. It tasted of starlight and of dread, of ancient dust and of futures unborn. And as I drank, I saw. It was not a vision. It was an unmaking. My consciousness was ripped from my body and hurled through the currents of time. I saw the sun, a fiery god in its own right, devoured by the slavering jaws of the wolf's skull. I saw the moon, a pearl of the night bleeding as it was consumed by Hati. I saw my son, my thunderer, the unshakable Thor, take 9 steps after slaying the world's serpent, his body racked with poison before falling dead to the scorched earth. I saw Loki, his face a mask of joyous madness, leading an army of the dead from the bowels of Helheim. I saw the fire giant Surtur, his sword of flame burning brighter than 1,000 suns, turning Asgard itself to ash. I saw the final desperate charge of the Einherjar, my chosen warriors being swallowed by a tide of chaos. And I saw him, Fenrir, the wolf bound by the gods, now grown to impossible size, his jaws unhinged, one touching the earth, the other the sky. And I saw myself, no longer a wanderer, but a king once more, charging to meet him. And I saw those jaws close. I saw the final silent darkness. I saw that it was not a possibility. It was not a warning. It was an ending, already written in the fabric of existence. When the torrent of truth receded, Odin was on his knees, clutching his head, a single guttural sob escaping his lips. He was no longer the arrogant king who began the journey. He was a broken god, a father who had just witnessed the certain death of his children. He had sought knowledge as a sword to prevent the end. The well had given him knowledge as a mirror, showing him only the terrible, unchangeable reflection of his own doom.
I had traded my eye for the truth. And the truth was this. All I could do now was prepare for a war I could not win. A fight I was destined to lose. I had my sight, yes, a terrible, perfect clarity. One eye to look upon the world as it was in all its fleeting beauty, and a gaping, empty socket that would forever see the world as it would one day be, a realm of echoes and of ash.
And so the Allfather returned to Asgard, no longer a king seeking to defy fate, but a guardian preparing his realm for its final, glorious battle. He had traded a part of himself for a terrible certainty, and would carry that weight until the end of all days. The tale has been told. Now, carry the embers. But this library has infinite shelves, and the echoes are endless. If the clash of steel and the roar of beasts still calls to your blood, then seek out my chronicles of war and survival. But if it is the whispers of magic and the secrets of the cosmos you now seek, then follow the starlit path of Ilana's wisdom. Choose your path. But before you go, stoke the fire. Become a guardian of these echoes. The old tales are hungry for new listeners.